moments, and one of it is, we are here about getting our mind right. And so I like to share some of the topics that, we experience throughout the week, take from mastermind members, and also, as a reminder that our trading is a lifestyle. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to talk about today. Um, I shared a image, which I'm going to share again with you guys. Just making sure I can get everything here real quick. Uh, so we'll put it in the chat. And so yesterday I kind of shared an image in the mastermind, and I talked about you know we have one life, one system, and one of the things is a unified life system. So when we are trading, we're going through things. We have health, we have capital, we have relationships, and the contributions we get on a daily, towards our purpose. We all here trading, but we may have different motivations, we have different purposes, um, and really, self neglect sometimes comes to in reality. Maybe we don't get enough sleep, maybe we don't have the right relationships, we don't have enough capital. There's always something that affects something else. And so the screenshot I just showed, showed that um, you got a big thing where it's health, you got relationships and capital, and this all impacts our mindset. It impacts um, our trading. It affects our life. And so, I like to look at trading as a lifestyle. And um, as we move forward and as we push through, sometimes we may have, a leak, right? We sometimes we have a leak in our capital. Sometimes we have a leak in our health. Sometimes a leak in our relationships. Um, and even we can even have a leak in our contribution and our purpose. You know, and most people have never seen their life as a system. With leaks, right? And seeing these arrows go from one area to the other. All right, we have an integrated life force. Sometimes we have emotional exhaustion, right? From our relationships, sometimes it can cause, health, health issues. Our health issues sometimes impact our capital, right? And our capital, and the lack of it sometimes stops our purpose, and our impact and ability to service. And so I like to say that we sometimes have to fix the leaks to get everything back to flowing. And it's happened in trading for me, myself personally. I had to take some time to focus on my health. It's happened at some point in relationships. You have to take some time to focus on your relationships. And at times you have to focus on the capital to generate your purpose and serve. Um, and so, this is a picture kind of as a reminder that it's all one, right? And so when we have a um, undivided system, right? We want to seal the leaks, and there it be four sources, four people, four systems fighting over one, right? And we have to construct a system that supports everything we need, right? A lot of times we don't fix our health. It's hard to wake up in the morning, or it's hard to have emotional stability when other things are leaking. And so sometimes we don't have to attract a better life, or you know, we just have to fix the one that we have. Right? We have to get aligned. And, you know, a lot of times we'll realize that, it's not that, um, you know, um, the expectations, right? Is we sometimes we have one area stealing from the next, right? We have one area taken from the other side. And so when I talk to traders in the mind, on a mindset, and we have some issues, a lot of times it's not even about trading, right? And none of the people that trade, it's not a lot of times it's not because of effort. right? It's just that they have goals robbing, themselves of something else, whether it's spending too much time, uh, or something requiring too much time, it's requiring too much energy. And so I just put this little theft can say it here, because sometimes it's not a money problem, right? Sometimes it's a coherence problem, and one theft funds the next. So, for instance, if you weren't getting enough sleep, and you couldn't sleep, or you stayed up late, or you had a bunch of arguments, right? Sometimes that steals from the morning and your energy and your mindset. Are you tired? And it impacts your decision. So, just like, for instance, if you stayed up late all night, you stayed up to 2 o'clock in the morning, and you hop on this call, right? The late night studying would probably still sleep, right? And if you're still to sleep, you have poor sleep, and that also impacts your discipline. And if you have weak discipline, that actually impacts your capital in trading, right? And then the capital that you lose, right, it also impacts the relationships and still calmness at home, right? And then the home tension feels emotional stability. Now you have other things that you worried about uh, in the house because you lost some capital, and now the emotional stability in the house, everybody's irritated, right? And the low stability feeds reactive trading. So now you hop in the market and revenge trading, right? Which once you start revenge trading, now you late night up studying again, right? And you never get enough sleep, right? The loop closes and funds itself. So I'm not sure if that made sense, right? Or you can see that cycle, right, where one theft starts to steal from another, right? And this is how one leak in the system, right, on a just even from the energy side, right, the emotional exhaustion, right, it all kind of feeds together, right? That's on a negative side of a drain, right? And sometimes the early sleep, comes up and it gives you a better decision, which better decision creates, uh, stronger discipline. Stronger discipline creates, um, a better trade, and a better trade creates happiness at home, right? You feeling good in a good mood, right? And then the tension at home is actually stable because everybody's happy. You walking around with a different energy, having after having a great day, and then that stability feeds the trading, right? And so there is a cycle. Plugging one leak could also impact positively all the other sectors and sections in your life. And so, the circle that drains you, sometimes that leak need to be filled, right? Sometimes that financial pressure, right, drives the overtrading, and the overtrading drives the losses, and the losses drive more pressure, right? And so one of the things, like if I take a loss, I actually like to take a step back. I like to have a day off or a break, right? Same way that if a person has a win, they take an hour, right, to enjoy it, right? Because when they take an hour or a couple of hours or a day to enjoy it, right, they realize that they're plugging holes and fixing, right, and it's circulating. So even the good wins, right, sometimes feeds into other areas of their life that started from capital, right? And it's you know what, I got some money, so maybe I want to take care of my health, and taking care of my health, um, is contributing to my purpose, right? Which the purpose and impact helps me with relationships, right? And now my love and the family and network is actually getting better, and I can feed other areas. So this is one system, four leaks, and one system to fulfill, to actually pour into the next. So when you have an abundance in one, right? Of course, everybody here, you think it's just money, but it did. Everybody here had, a surplus of money. Right now, you got $1 million dropped in your account. It's going to feed all the other areas, right? The capital is going to help you with the health. The health is going to help you with the relationships. Relationships are going to help you with your purpose, right? And so that's one big one, right? Capital insertion that helps. But then also, if you don't have the health and the physical and mental vitality, right, that's going to bring down all the others, right? It's going to impact the relationships. It's going to impact the contributions. So, you can treat health, capital, relationships, and contribution as four separate accounts, or you can, realize that they're one account, right? It's one bloodstream. It's one unified system, right? And so, this is another reason why I say that trading can change your life, right? And it becomes a lifestyle because I understand the leaks that happen, and if you do the trading well, it actually feeds the other areas. It could feed the other areas if you don't neglect. So, um, right, you don't want to, the attraction. Sometimes, it just doesn't come from one. It comes from a whole person, right? And it says a person of integrity is not merely honest; they are integrated. So having an energy, having a part of one, and understanding it fits into the entire body, those four sectors, right? The family, the health, relationships, the capital contribution. That's part of one you. And um, you don't want one to cancel the effort and steal from the other. And so part of the mindset is that, part of being a trader, it is that we have one unified system and trading should impact your overall life, right? It should make things better. That is the goal, is to make things better. If you have more money, of course you should have more time, you should have more health, right? So being able to take a walk sometime, being able to fix your health, um, being able to help the family, right? And all, um, is unified. And so I treat the trading, as a system I need to build, right? Architect, right? And this helps uh, overall life, right? I need to get prime, I need to have sleep, I need to eat well, right? This is all one unified system that it helps feed the other, right? And this is how you collect leverage, right? You don't want it to be so off. Sometime when we have stress in our life as traders, we'll dig into one area and we'll, you know what, I'm gonna focus on the trading, I'm gonna ignore everything else, right? And it eventually, um, right, it impacts other areas. And that other area, that's why trading is so difficult, right? Trading is not difficult because of the strategy. Trading is difficult because we're facing and integrating everything else into our lifestyle, right? And that is a important mindset. It's mid-year, right? And our P&L have gone up, but then we have other things that are always impacting. All right. And so, even the quality of food, right? I was talking to my daughter and we were just talking about how, um, even the way we eat impacts everything else in our life. So, my daughter does dance. My oldest one did softball, and my oldest was telling my youngest one like, "Hey, you gotta eat better quality food. It's gonna give you better energy. And when you don't eat good quality food, you act different. And now mom is yelling. It impacts the entire family." All right. And I never, I was listening to my daughter tell my youngest daughter that, hey, you got to eat better because everything else will, uh, get better. Right. And it was just like how one leak of bad eating, even from your kid's standpoint, will impact everybody else in the family. Right. If she's super energized and she ate a whole bunch of sugar and she turned up and got energy all over and won't go to sleep, right? That impacts the entire house. And it was, some simple like that that we never, sometimes we overlook. And so, of course, we have operator standards in trading, right? Man, we want to have minimums, right? We want to have a set up threshold to trade things above 9.4, 4. We have a maximum of 2 trades a day. We have, want to risk a certain percentage, have weekly audits, right? But this is also 4 vows, right? And you have these same vows for each area. So like, hey, for your health, man, I gotta sleep a certain time. I need to eat, 2, 3 meals a day, right? I need to drink a certain amount of water, right? This is how you fix the leaks in your health. Relationships, one of the things we're talking about my family, for every one negative thing you say, you need to say 10 positive things to family members, right? This way, family members just don't hear the negative, and so if you say something negative, we've been practicing in our house, say something, 10 things positive. And, it becomes hard to look for things positive to say, but, you can find 10 things. It feels abnormal, but it's fixing a leaky valve that's in the relationship, right? And so, you know, it says you not seal a leak with intention, you seal it with non-negotiable minimums, right? And so the minimum is that I need to have 2 quality meals, or the minimum is I need to have 8 glasses of water, right? Or the minimum is I need to take a walk. The minimum is that every day you need to go to sleep and get at least 4 hours of sleep, right? And so each organ, the health, the capital, relationships, the contribution, right? You set these non-negotiables, right? And you set a standard, right? And um, the output, like for your health, right? It's you want to avoid setups that put you on tilt. All right. To show you bills. It says if you have degraded sleep and metabolic health, it steals from impulse control, right? And the skill that you build, right? Lab work, right? Training block, uh, a sleep for a minimum of how much sleep you're gonna get, right? Relationship minimums, right? Undistracted time, schedule, right? Dependent, put the phone down, right? Stability that lets you sit calm in a drawdown. How does it impact your trading, right? If you know, manage and seal relationships in a vow, right? It actually um, lets you, it makes you more calm, right? Contribution, right? Don't overcommit, right? Self neglect, right? If you aren't able to give to yourself, right? And this is, you know, if you can actually, give um, chosen contributions, things that you want to do, right? And also keep your purpose meaningful, right? In this way, things are a baseline, right? I want to be a good father. So it's like, all right, well, if I'm trading, when do I take time? It's like, like I was just reminded yesterday that after the call, I tell my daughters, oh, now I'm busy on Sunday. And then my daughter was like, man, we haven't been to a movie in 6 months, 7 months. Like, she hasn't been here. So last night we went to go see the Odyssey, and it was like, that was a good contribution. That was part of the purpose, right? Like we haven't been to a movie almost in a year or something like that together. So these are just vows that hold, and it also, helps you recognize your purpose. And uh, the vows hold, sleep deprivation, poor metabolic health, um, right? Having good health, having good sleep, right? That actually is giving you good machinery to actually be a good trader, right? I don't want to show up feeling tired, right? You want to show up as a force, with good energy, right? I want to have my lab work done, right? So I actually feel uh, not on edge that nothing is wrong inside. So these are just valves, right? And major purpose. These are questions to ask yourself. When am I building or becoming? Right. As you're trading, some people will say, man, I'm becoming more disciplined. Some people say I have better, they have better communication when they start trading, right? And it impacts other areas of their life, right? They actually start, recognizing and creating time for their kids, or creating time for other people in their lives, because they know that they need to have that balance, while they're trading, right? Nothing becomes non-negotiable, right? This is a bridge from inspiration to standards. So the mindset is that we have to create these standards, same way we create standards in trade, right? Who benefits when I do this well? Like who benefits when you trade well, right? What benefits when you trade well? What benefits when you just trading in general and haven't even made a trade, right? Some people they get better time management, right? They get better planning. Um, they get better health, right? And what measure of evidence will show progress within 12 months, right? Most people look at just their P&L, right? But there's other leaks that you fix while you began trading, right? Just the fact that a person organizes their calendar, right? And you set up time for, the other areas of your life. You set up time for a walk. Because what you realize is that when you start trading, it occupies your mind and your time, and by default, you start making sure that you balance because you hear this message that, oh man, you need to sleep. You hear this message that, oh man, you should eat quality foods, right? You eat a bunch of junk and then you go hit the charts. It may be impacting the way you trade. Filling up in coffee because you're tired and now you got the jitters while you trade and you're anxious. And it's creating bad decisions because of the impulse of caffeine you just took while the market is open. So what value standards may not be violated to achieve this, right? I can't cheat myself and sleep and stay up, 2, 3, only get 2, 3 hours of sleep and thinking I'm going to be the best trader. I can't have arguments every day with my wife or people in my family, right? And think I'm going to make the best decisions in the market, right? And even after a bad week or a great week, what still matters, right? What matters after the worst week, right? And sometimes you realize that even after your bad weeks, it's not a killer. But how do you prevent that from happening? So, for me, one of the purposes is to have, DCG and have a lot of successful with other traders, right? And it's something I can't fail at, right? It's like for me personally, if I see so many people failing, right, that's something that I want to produce consistent, profitable traders that are independent, right? So that's kind of a purpose, right? And that survives the worst day. So if I have a bad day, if I'm not trading well, it's like, well, if other people are winning and they're motivated and they're doing well, it's still a win, right? And that is under stress, right? What is something you still want? Under stress, I still want to be a good father. Still want to be able to spend time and take care of my kids, right? And so that is a non-negotiable, right? And each organ, your health, right? Like, yeah, I gotta get blood work every 6 months, and one thing I know is that if I don't take care of myself, who will? Right? There's nobody else responsible. So if I neglect myself, I'm actually hurting everything around it. I'm hurting the DCG. I'm hurting my family. I'm hurting the capital. Right? I can't neglect myself. So that's the standard. So the coherence will, one system, two directions. Right? I know which causes failure. Right? And I know which causes, I guess, the upward progress. Right? Clean lab, sleep, trained body, it helps stable energy, helps emotional control, which is discipline and execution, right? I respect the stops, right? I can help uh, build up my reserves, then I have less pressure. And that feeds back into a healthy lifestyle and a healthy home, right? The failure cycles, right? It starts with neglected health, poor sleep, degraded mental function, right? And I start chasing it. If I start chasing, I start losing. I have drawdowns, create stress and tension, and it steals back from everything else, right? And so that failure cycle is real, and the virtuous cycle is real as well. And so, what kind of system can we run, right? And what kind of things we can do to seal the systems up or create maintenance protocols, right? And this is right things that you can do that actually exist under pressure. All right. Name the purpose in one sentence before you touch a screen. What's your purpose? What is your purpose this morning? Right? What's your minimums for your health? What's your minimums for your trading? What's your minimums for your sleep? Right? Uh, what's the relationships you need to protect or touch? Right? I had, you have a big family, right? All your relationships is not going to be, A1 all the time. But I know the most important ones is with my wife and my daughters, right? My immediate inside this house. So, I got at least water those, even when the other ones outside is going crazy. Right? Pre-session, right? Am I bringing one integrated operator into the market, or I'm bringing the depleted ones? And am I bringing a person that's his health is bad, or his family is terrible, and his capital is down? Right? I have to turn on an honesty gate so I actually know which one. Right? Size down or stand down. Right? I know today I got to get a root canal at 10 o'clock. I know I got to go to Arizona on Wednesday. My daughter needs to register for school or XYZ. Right? I know I have a busy week, so I'm already feeling overwhelmed. Right? That's a pre-session. Like, damn, man, I don't want to get a root canal. Right? And I don't know how I'm going to feel after. But those are morning and pre-session things that you can say that, hey, this is the honesty gate. Right? After I had a losing week last week. So I'm not gonna go and jump in to a bunch of trades knowing that I have different days every day. That's just your daily maintenance, right? And I got to take care of my health, all right? And I got to take care of the family, and it also can't be a disservice, right? Me not being at my peak is a disservice to the purpose I have in DCG. So then you have to be honest, right? These are the audit uh, you have to do. Then weekly, right? Where did it creep in last week? Which will creep in this week, right? You can change one thing, um, it helps. So I did not attract a better life. I built a system that produces one, right? I got to seal the 4 vows. It runs off one bloodstream, right? Not 4 different accounts. The health, the lifestyle, the trading, right? I can't be 4 people fighting over one body, right? It has to be one undeniable system, right? And that is the message. It's a unified life system, right? It is also one plug helps plug up the others. So let me share this document, right? Share this document here so you guys can have this for your own personal use. I like to share some of my examples as I go through these documents, right? And it's the way that we architect our life, and we actually recognize where we have leaks, and we understand how we plug them before we sink, right? And that is a big part of the mastermind. We have people that leave and they come back, and sometimes just the message that you get is beneficial. Sometimes we don't have these reminders. So I want to thank all you guys for joining these calls, right? We talk about trading, but it's also our entire life that should improve inside this group. We share these experiences and we seeing these different things happen, right? It doesn't just happen to one, it happens to all of us. On that note, I appreciate you guys, and let's get it. We got a beautiful week. We are live. We got gratitude. We start off the morning, and any problems we have, we still here. So we got an opportunity to fix those leaks and continue pushing, right? And it should make our whole life better, even when our P&L isn't going up, like we want. But we have other areas to also improve outside our P&L. And that is what it means to DCG Mastermind. It is a lifestyle and it's a mindset. On that note, peace out. See you guys in the charts.